last season has taught us anything, it's most TV shows aren't very good. So how do they get made? One reason could be that most of us think of as a good show or a good idea. It doesn't sell. So to prove that, we went to the Television Producers Expo in Las Vegas, better known as NAPTE. This is a NAPTE convention, and let real people pitch their ideas for real TV shows right to our camera. And I'm going to show you the pictures. These are the actual pictures they made to producers and all those people. You want you to guess whether you think they were sold or not sold. So just yell out your answer as we have another edition of Pitch to America.
Barry's Celebrity Garbage. Each week I go into the garbage of celebrities and look for things like J-Lo's old wedding albums. That makes sense, doesn't it? Madonna's underwear. I wonder what they look like. Paris Hilton's old videos. And maybe Michael Jackson's old clown makeup.
You let me know. Just keep me. Hi, I'm Jim Blanchett, director of Pillars of New York, and I'm here with Barry Z and the Barry Z Show, who has been a pillar of New York for many, many years, and hopefully for many years to come.
Hi, it's Barry Z from the Barry Z Show at the St. Luke's Theater, talking to Jim Blanchett, who directed this fantastic show that I saw tonight called Pillars of New York. Tell me about it.
Well, Pillars of New York is, I hesitate to say it's a 9/11 story, but it takes place around the events of 9/11, but it mostly focuses on the people and the relationships and just the everyday problems they're going through, and then how everything changed in an instant for them.
How did you get involved in this?
Well, this is a project I've been working on for several years with the author, Michael Anton. I've been Michael's dramaturg for several of his shows, and this was a concept he brought to us about four and a half years ago. Wow. And we started tweaking and puddling with it, and I was like, instead of being, well, no, that's a bad idea, I was like, yeah, write it. Let's see what you can come up with. And through rewrites and workshops and an LA production, we were able to hone the story into something that was less about the tragedy and more about the people.
This was one of the most moving plays, or I should say musicals, I've ever seen in my life.
Well, thank you for that. We were really conscious of really treading lightly on the event and really focusing on just the humanity of the story. And I think that's where it pays dividends, that you really get to know all these people and you really get to miss the people when they're not there.
How did these people come about?
Well, these people were because it's four couples, I guess you'd say, four couples, and these were sort of the core of Michael's original story. And how we decided to weave the story together when Michael and I were working on it, I used the play La Ronde by Schnitzler. I don't know, it's an old Victorian, like 1890s play, but it's a play where I've got like two characters will meet and then these two different characters meet, so that it creates a forward motion, just that you can see that people are related. Not everyone knows each other. It was like the original 6 Degrees of Separation story, and we kind of map that onto the people, and it really fits for what's going on with New York, because it always seems to be like the smallest big city in the world, that there are always people that seem to know you and even in a town this big, that there's people that that don't know each other, but we're all sort of woven and interconnected, and that's kind of the basis of the story.
To me, it was a quilt that you guys weaved.
Oh, that's a great analogy. I had not thought of quilt. I myself am a quilter. My mother would be proud to know that we sort of created a quilt. But yeah, you're right. It's a little piece here and a little piece here. It's very patchwork, and the way it comes together just kind of creates that whole story. And it really comes together when our main character, Jake, who's the therapist, who is sort of intermittent in the first half of the show, and then the second half of the show, it's all him completely sewing these pieces back together, using your analogy, where he really sort of creates this whole picture for himself and grows himself through the process.
Tell me about the music and the lyrics.
Well, the music and the lyrics. Because Michael is he wrote the book, he wrote the music, he wrote the lyrics. Now our music director and arranger Rocco Vataco is he's an old school like Rodgers and Hammerstein, Cole Porter type guy, and so he orchestrates his stuff that way, and for me it really works for the show, because one of my favorite songs from Rodgers and Hammerstein from South Pacific is you have to be carefully taught, the whole song about prejudice, which was very controversial at the time, but they managed to put a light touch on serious subjects, and I think Rocco has really helped us pull the show together that way.
Why is it called Pillars of New York?
Well, it's called Pillars of New York because it's a double meaning, obviously, because the pillars initially we think are the towers, the World Trade Center, but really what keeps New York upright is the people, and we feel that this story is, even though there's devastation, that the people continue to move on and continue to be strong, and so we really see that the people are the pillars of New York, and I think the ending of hope and strength that you see at the end really relays that message.
Now, these stories are true, right?
Well, these stories are based in truth, so none of these particular stories necessarily were true, but they were inspired by other stories from people I knew who worked at the towers, and people that other people have known who worked at the towers. So we didn't want to, again, co-opt somebody else's story, but like every single one of us had a story about, I'm not from here, I didn't live here, but I remember when the attacks happened, and I was doing a show with somebody whose brother worked in the towers, and he had this incredible story of survival that, he just happened to be downstairs getting a cup of coffee, and so that was these kind of stories, the happenstance stories, but it's like the 6 degrees of separation to the towers isn't even 6. I think it's 2 or 3 degrees. That is that close. That's how much we were impacted by it. So we tried to use pieces of the story to inspire the story rather than trying to co-opt actual stories.
And what is the message?
Well, the message of the story for me is that Jake says at the end. He says that it's even though we have bad things that happen to us, it's not tragedy that defines us. It's how we respond to tragedy and how we push forward and how we take the good from the bad. And I think that's essentially the story in a nutshell.
What can we learn from the show?
Well, I think we can learn from this show. There's a couple of things I think you can learn. And certainly one thing you can learn from the show is there's really no subject matter that's off the table if you treat it with respect and you treat it with love and kindness, because I think initially when I started telling people that I was working on a musical surrounding the World Trade Center, their initial reaction is just that. Their initial reaction is, oh my goodness. It's like, yes, but it's 15 years later. We're coming up on the 15-year anniversary, and it's something, that through our art, that's how we are able to deal and adapt and accept and move on from our stories. So I think that's the one thing. If anyone had to learn anything from the story, that's what I think they should really take from it.
And I take away the line that they used for the Holocaust, which was never forget.
Yes, and never forget. And nobody ever will in this city. It's the beautiful thing about this city is this is a story that affected the whole city. Of course, it's a story that affected the whole country, because not being a New Yorker myself, what's really great about the story is that, these are still my people. New York, this is our story. This is America's story. This is a story about humanity, and we all feel this. Yeah.
Was it a hard show to direct because of the emotion involved?
Well, yeah. It's certainly one of those stories that it's because there are moments in there that you're like, they'll just kind of punch you in the gut. But I have a super talented cast. You saw them. They're great. They're such a great cast, and they were able to really dig in and try lots of different things so that we could find a way to convey the message and keep it as light as we could.
Well, we'll keep the message going forever.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's so nice of you.
Hi, it's Barry Z from The Barry Z Show at the St. Luke's Theater, talking to Michael Anton, who wrote the most moving, memorable play I've ever experienced in my life, called Pillars of New York, right?
I like your powers of observation. You're enormous. Thank you.
I was shivering throughout this whole show because it brought back such memories.
Well, I was moved to write it because I went to the World Trade Center before the museum was open, and I saw the two pools. I wasn't moved, but I was impressed until I got to the second pool, coincidentally where I was looking, a woman's name and unborn child. And I teared up, and I was so moved, I could hardly not fall in the pool. And I went back to my hotel room, and I wrote that scene, and that's Bianca and her husband, Davis, in this play. And it seemed to me that a husband who lost that would have gone bonkers, which is, maybe I'm giving up too much about the play, but that's the scene.
Were all the characters based upon true-to-life characters?
Say it again?
Were all the characters in the show based upon true-to-life stories?
No, only the pregnant woman. The rest are my imagination.
What? What kind of research did you do for this?
I'm a former tax lawyer, and I taught at Berkeley. I didn't do much research on characters as much as I did research on the World Trade Center, but I did show the script as I developed it to 4 different psychiatrists to make sure that I was matching a psychologist's therapy concepts for him to change and for how the characters changed.
Now, you relived this whole experience like I did, and I was at the verge of tears every time I saw, or heard a story from the show.
Well, you're a stronger person than I. I tear up at least 3, sometimes 4 of the scenes, whether it's a rehearsal or the show. I just remember standing at that ledge, and it gets me.
Were you here in New York when it all came about?
When the towers went down? Yeah. No, I happened to have come home from my morning jog, and I had the TV on in the kitchen, and I yelled at my wife, "Oh my God, look what's happening!" And that's where I saw.
You were living in New York at the time?
No, in Los Angeles. And that's where I saw the crashes.
Did you lose anyone as far as family members or friends or family?
I represented a victim of one of the airplanes whose wife committed suicide 5 weeks later. And I represented him through the commission, so I knew about the money and how that worked and so forth.
How were you able to write this story? It's so emotionally packed.
As a tax lawyer, I wrote 3 books and I published 3-4 times a year for 40 years. Writing is easy for me.
This is your first play, right?
No.
I should say first musical.
No. My fifth
musical.
The 6th one is coming out in October in Los Angeles.
Wow. Now this played in Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
What was the reaction from the
It
audience?
had rave reviews, full packed house, just as here. Wow.
You were nominated for awards too.
Yes.
Wow. Why is it called Pillars of New York?
The 2 towers, as vernacular, those are the pillars of New York. And the people in the play are pillars of New York. The characters, the strength, that's why it's Pillars of New York.
And why did you have to write this? Was this a catharsis for you and for the world?
I wrote it because of my reaction to that woman's name, unborn child. I could not write it. I had to write it.
It's so, incredibly written and so true to life that you become part of these stories.
I hope that's true. I hope everybody likes the music and that moves the play as well. But I had to write it, and I'm glad it's getting a good reception.
It's incredible. I was mentioned in the show.
Yes.
How?
The gay son has to persuade his mother. He has a fake boyfriend. So she'll get off his back.
And his name was Barry.
And his name is Barry. Of course. It's
Barry Z, right?
I don't know about the Z, but I know it was karma. It had to be Barry.
How long did it take you to compose the music and write the show?
Within a couple of weeks, I had my first draft, 70 pages of script. It took me a year to work it and to spot songs and then have them sung and then revised when I liked or didn't like parts. And so it takes about a year and a half, almost 2.
This is the most moving, memorable play I've ever seen or experienced. This is a part of history, isn't it? It's a history lesson.
It is a history lesson. I hope it's philosophical as well. That is the strength that I wrote through this, how the people survived the tragedy and how they were able to make their lives again. That's really an important aspect for me.
What has the reaction been from people?
In Los Angeles, we got rave reviews. The audiences spread the word. We were sold out for the last few weeks. The play ran last Wednesday as a dress rehearsal type of thing. We had an awful lot of people there, and I got personal emails telling me how much they liked it and how they wanted their friends to see it.
Is this going to Broadway or is it going to film?
Well, if it were up to me, it would go to both. But
Broadway and then to film.
my understanding is if it runs for a period of time because audiences like it, then it has a chance of going to London and then coming back here to Broadway.
Think of all the awards you're going to win.
With your help,
I got to tell the whole world about this.
from your mouth to God's ears.
Well, you deserve it.
But the words aren't important. The message is important.
And what is the message of the show?
The message is that we can all accomplish in spite of the swords and daggers that are thrown at us, that we can recover, we can renew, we do have a life to live. And I hope that people who come will be themselves refreshed with that spirit.
You want to see this also in a film version? You want to see this on film?
It would be wonderful if I should live that long.
You'll live forever, and so will this show.
Thank you. From your mouth to God's ears.
The movie.
And the movie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barry. And I'm glad you were in the show.
That's something that happened deliberately, or?
I didn't know you. Barry is the name I picked. So that's why it's karma.
And I covered this whole incident, completely on my show over the years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And they tell me you're amazing. So it's a good thing we can talk
Cry.
together once more.
Yeah, well, I hope everybody comes to see it.
I just don't want you to be alone.
Is that what all this is really about?
I just can't have anything more be my fault.
Cue violence.
Am I to blame for the way that you are? You were always my brightest shining star. I did the best that I could, as any mother would. But I guess I blew it when you come down to it. When you were a kid, everything that I did, it was all for you. Is there more I can do for my beautiful baby? Now I ask myself, baby, did I overdo it when you come down to it?
Okay, you're to blame. That's what you want to hear. Well, I'm a great guy, and that's your fault, mother dear. I'm smart, I'm clever, and my future looks bright. I blame you for that too, cause you brought me up right.
We're all grown up, I don't belong here anymore.
But I'm happy you're here, so stop heading for the door. Please don't go away. I want you to stay, and when you come down to it, please just do it.
Okay, I'll stay. But I don't want to be a bother.
Well, that's good to know.
I want you to feel free to have a man over.
Do you mean this fictitious man you have me seeing? I think he should have a name. Let's call him Barry.
That is a lovely name for a boyfriend.
I'm glad you approve.
And what do I do when your boyfriend comes over? They say to lose company, raise a crowd.
Well, you can make the dinner, then go visit your sister, or take in a movie, for crying out loud.
You think I'm being silly?
The thought has crossed my mind.
I can't help it. You're my highlight.
I'm your Alex.
I could have done different.
Well, perhaps, but I couldn't. We've been through this already, so let's not review it. There's no one to blame for when you come down to it. I'm an independent man. You've been the perfect mother. You'll always be my girl. There sure won't be no other. So stop all at once and be grateful for us. For when you come down to it, we make a lovely duet.
Yeah.
I've got to get going. And no more stuff about this moving out. That is not going to happen. The towers are awaiting my arrival.
Yes, hello? Oh, not this morning. I have an appointment. My afternoon is free. Sure. I'll see you then. He says there's no blame. Can that really be true? He wants me to stay. I really do too. But will I live through it? Won't know till I do it. I guess it's okay when you come down to it.
Hi, my name is Cruz, and I play Terry, the receptionist.
Tell me about Terry. He takes the subway a lot, right?
Yeah, he's just a really sassy, like, naughty receptionist. Yeah.
Now, you weren't around during 9/11, were you?
No, I wasn't. I was 4.
Before.
Yeah, but doing the show, I looked up the history of it, so it's really interesting to learn about it and kind of not relive it, but experience it through the show. It's cool.
Did you lose any family or friends or anyone?
I didn't, but I had family in New York at the time, so it was kind of worrying. But everyone's good, and actually dated a guy whose whose mother and father met because they were survivors of the Twin Towers.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
What was your reaction to this?
Reaction to the show?
To the show and also to taking this role?
Well, I was just very excited to do it. I mean, I didn't know much about the subject, so it's a really exciting project that I'm happy to be a part of.
Yeah, I cried throughout the whole thing.
You
It's
did.
very moving.
It's very
And
moving.
I covered a lot of these events for my show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That took place during 9/11.
Oh, so you were there.
Yeah, we were there.
Oh.
Tell us your name and the role you play.
Hi, I'm Nikki Casseri, and I play Harley.
Tell me about her.
She's awesome. She is a fun-loving Oklahoma woman who's married to a sweet husband who has 4 kids and decided to try and make it big in financial aspects of her career here in New York. They've been living here in New York for a year before 9/11, and she actually was injured in 9/11, and I don't want to tell you what happens. You'll have to come to see. But she still is amazing throughout. She just is a strong, loving woman who's full of life and likes to shop and spend lots of money.
Were you here in New York personally at the time?
No, I'm actually from Buffalo, New York, and I was in a music theory class in my senior year of high school at the time, and I remember exactly we were writing songs, and my music teacher came in and told us what was going on, and it was just kind of crazy from there on out, because I remember nobody knew what was really happening, and so of course, what does Buffalo think? Okay, Niagara Falls, that's going to be a target. So I think everybody in America at that point thought there was a target close to them, and because you just don't know what's going on. And the events that unfolded, I did have some friends who actually called off of work that day. And because they called off of work at the coffee shop right across the street, lived, and I had some friends whose parents worked at the Pentagon who just happened to not go to work that day. So, but I've had a lot of friends over the years who actually I hope will come see the show, a few of them, but you never know, who were there and did work in the World Trade Centers. And we had a girlfriend here tonight who saw, and she is a lawyer, and she said she cried the entire last half of the show because 9/11 is just it's an event that's just so close to her heart, and she was here too. So
current.
So yeah, it is. And I mean, especially with what's going on in our world today, there's violence everywhere. And we're lucky that we're a country that has the least amount of violence compared to overseas, you know. So we're blessed.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Tell us your name and the role you play. You want to come over here?
Sure. I'm Brandon Schrammel, and I play Jake Kelly.
Tell me about Jake. You were the author, right?
Jake is the author, yes, of the book that the whole show is about. He's basically a know-it-all psychologist. He has all the answers, but at the same time doesn't really listen to any of his patients. And he's trying to do good, but he's going about it the wrong way.
Why do you want to write this book?
He wants to write. He actually changes his books throughout the course of the show, maybe because of 9/11. But the book that he ends up writing is about his transformation as a person and how these people dealing with this tragedy helped him change.
Tell me about the songs you sang, all of you.
Throughout the whole show? Yeah. Well, it starts a really high note. We're all like kind of pissed off. We have to ride the subway yet again, and it's so like annoying, let's be honest. It's not always the best smelling place. There's some dirt and sometimes other grosser things. But it starts off with like the normal grind of New York and then goes into the families that Jake is actually a therapist for. And so you have, this beautiful loving relationship between a mother and son, and you have some love triangles.
What songs did you sing personally?
Ooh, I sang Hard Place, which is all about me spending lots of money and my husband hating that. And then I sang a song at the end that is just like, I don't know. It's a tearjerker.
Oh, it is. And what songs did you sing?
Oh, I was in all the group numbers because I am the ensemble member of the show.
And you sang what?
I sing quite a bit. I guess big solo numbers.
Devo or diva?
Devo. We'll go with that. That sounds good. This is also my fiance. I don't know if you know that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
Where did you meet her?
Breaking with barriers here. Yeah, just tonight.
New York. Yeah.
You went to L.A. with the show too, didn't you?
No, actually, LA's show happened, and then they brought it here because it had such great reception from people in LA. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we all did not transfer from LA. This is a brand new cast, and we're putting our new spin on it. And as far as your last question, I sing the big 9/11 number, which is pretty powerful song.
And you met her in this cast, or you knew her before?
I knew her before. We met doing another show in New York.
Which was?
She played the Mother Mary, and I played Peter, the favorite disciple.
And who is this lovely lady back here? Is this Mom?
Yeah, I'm Mom, yes.
You were my mom in this, or somebody who knew me, from the show, because I was mentioned in the show. I'm Barry Z. There was a Barry. Right?
There's a Barry. My wonderful son would like...
Tell me about Barry.
Well, Barry is my dream for my son. I would like my son to meet a Barry. That's every mother would love him to have a Barry. Mm-hmm.
I'm a Shreya Abra, as they say in Yiddish.
There you go.
Tell me about your role, and of course your name.
My name's Audrey Federici. I play the role of Rachel, and I have
I thought you were Jewish in the show.
I'm Jewish in the show. I'm Italian, Jewish, same thing. It's the exact same thing. I mean, exactly.
You all bleed red, right?
Exactly. We're the same.
Tell me about your role.
I play a mom in the show, and I have a wonderful son, Alex, played by wonderful Tyler behind you. And to me, this is what the storyline really spoke to me. I mean, 9/11, of course, is the focus of the show, but it's her struggle with her son and coming to terms with her son being gay through her religion and through her life, and how she handles that on a day-to-day level. She loves him tremendously, and it's really the struggle, and that's what really spoke to me.
What songs do you sing in this?
Well, we sing a duet together, which I love, and then I don't want to give away my second song, but I do have another song, so I do too.
Did you pattern this role after your own life?
No, I mean, I certainly know enough people that have struggled with their folks not being able to deal with their being gay, and that's not been my experience in my life. My parents have been incredibly supportive, and I'm so blessed to have them. So I wanted to kind of explore the role the other way around and see what that would
Have a gay son in real life?
I don't have a gay son in real life. I don't.
Mommy!
I don't. I just have a doggy.
You don't want to be my mommy in this show?
I would definitely, but you're a Barry, so I'm gonna have to look for you for my son.
I was supposed to be his husband, right?
That's right. Or do you know a doctor? Because I'm always looking for a nice doctor for my son. Always.
I could be one if you want.
It's a wall made of mortar and bricks.
If a token to ride, this man may live for six. Fiery brimstone of hell has got nothing on this.
It's humid as a snow.
Smells like 3-year-old piss.
The next stop is Chamber Street Station. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Another morning on the subway track.
Subway track. Clickety, 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 clack. Clickety, clack. Subway track. Clickety, clickety, clack.
It bores into my skull till my senses are dull.
Acting like a sardine, and I had no time for caffeine. Pours into my soul, my senses are dull, like a sardine, and I had no time for caffeine. Clickety clack, subway track, clickety 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 clack, clickety clack, subway track, clickety clickety clack.
If yours are all sticky, don't say they haven't been cleaned.
That rapper is icky, but he's some kind of fiend.
It's that
Full of weirdos and butchers and shelters.
you best not address them. They're probably muggers.
Clickety clack, subway track, clickety 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 clack, clickety clack, subway track, clickety clickety clack.
This is Chamber Street. Next stop is Cortlandt Street Station and the World Trade Center.
Another morning on the subway track. Clickety clack, subway track, clickety 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 clack, clickety clack, subway track, clickety clickety clack.
Every single trip, be it 1 stop or 5, takes a piece of your soul and eats it alive.
But that's just the first part. Would you like to hear the worst part? Brace yourself for the worst part.
So tell us what's the worst part?
That boombox is so loud.
I don't think it's allowed.
Where the hell is our cop?
Couldn't care less 'cause it's my stop.
Boombox is so loud. It's so loud.
Think it's allowed.
Think it's all loud. It's all loud. I don't care 'cause it's my stop. Clickety clack, subway track. Clickety 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 clack. Clickety clack, subway track. Clickety clickety clack.
This is Cortlandt Street. Exit here for the World Trade Center. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
They stand the very essence of my city, shining brightly far above the grime and gritty. What a sight to behold! great statues, so brave, so proud and bold. Brilliant works of art, let's pop a cork and drink a toast to the pillars of New York. Manhattan seems to balance on the strength of these two shoulders, a testament to man, these silver boulders. There still is so much more just beyond the rolling door. It's a truly awesome ride, and the gateway to adventure awaits you just inside. Top floor? Start your rocket ride. You leave your cares below. Your stomach falls away as up you go. You question your decision, but it's far too late to stop. You think you're going down, but then your inner ears go pop. Don't know if you can stand it when you suddenly reach the top. There's still waiting to the top. Wow, what a view looking down upon Manhattan. What a jaw-dropping sight. What a splendid surge of passion. Gazing out the windows at the top makes you wonder, has time come to a stop? Brilliant works of art, let's pop a cork and drink a toast to the pillars of New York.
Tell me about your role.
My name's Laura Caldas, and I play Bianca. She is a working woman supporting her writer husband. I don't want to give it away, but they find out some news that affects their life, and she's super excited. It's something that she's been wanting for a while. He is...
Are you the wife of him?
No, I'm the wife of this one over here, this cutie patootie. Yeah, and so they go through this whole thing with their opposite reactions, and there's a lot of...
He's writing a book about 9/11.
No, so that's this one. He's just a writer. Who knows what he's writing about? I don't know if he's even writing a book.
I call him the failed writer.
Right.
What'd you say?
I call him the writer in quotation marks.
The failed writer, you said.
Yeah, that's what I said.
He hasn't been published yet, so he is a writer, dreamer. Yeah, so then she goes through some stuff, and I really can't even say what happens in the end because that'll give away a whole big other storyline.
Did you live through 9/11 too, like most of the world?
Yeah, I wasn't here. I was in Texas. I was in undergrad, and my class happened to be canceled that day. I mean, we knew about it in advance, so I slept in like any good college student. And I woke up, and my roommate had the TV on, and I just fell to the couch and just sat there and watched it. I had a cousin that was here that worked downtown. She's great. She was just fine. But
You didn't lose anyone during 9/11.
I mean, we, of course, calling family, making sure she's okay, and we had heard from her, and she was fine. But yeah, I mean, it's life-changing. After about 2 weeks, you turn the TV off because you're done. You can't watch it anymore.
What a life lesson, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What songs do you sing in this?
I sing a song about a miracle situation, and I kind of echo, the husband's name is Davis, Max's song, that really he sings, Lost in a Flash, and I kind of am in the back. And then, of course, all the group numbers. Yeah.
Now, you play my lover in this, right?
My fantasy lover, yes, Barry.
Yes. How did I get involved in this show?
They just had you in mind when they were writing it, apparently. It's the
Was it you that wanted me in this, to be your lover?
I always pictured you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So tell me your name and the role you play.
I'm Tyler Knopf, and I'm playing the role of Alex.
Tell me about Alex.
Alex is the gay son, and I have a wonderful relationship with my mother, Rachel. We lived together after my father passed away, and she's the heart and soul of the family. Yes.
And what happened to you in this show?
So, well, I can't give it all away, but I will say that I work in the towers, probably on the top floor, and I don't think I made it down. But you have to come see the show to see how.
What about me? Why did you leave me standing like
I said your name every single time.
I know.
Every single time.
And then you left me.
I did.
I'm still here.
I know.
Thank God, right?
Yeah, well, yes, of course.
Where were you during 9/11? Were you born then?
Yes, I was born then. I was in 6th grade, and we found out after school because all the grade school teachers didn't want to tell elementary school students until we had left. And so I remember going home and being on the school bus. And my older brother, I remember, was talking about, he had done training for military and stuff and was worried about being drafted at that time. And he was just turned 18.
Where were you at the time? In what state?
Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. So did you know anybody, related to 9/11 somehow?
I didn't, but I feel, being a New Yorker now, if I ever go to the memorial and stuff like that, I feel the presence there.
What songs did you sing in the show?
I sing a song called When You Come Down to It, which is a duet with my mother, all about how she just wants to plan my life for me. And it's a conversation we have over and over and over again.
Now, are you Jewish in real life too, or no?
Do I look Jewish?
Yes, you do, as a matter of fact.
I'm not Jewish.
Are you Italian?
I am German, of all things. Yeah, of all things.
Why do you look Jewish?
That helps me in the theater world. There's a lot of...
You had a Jewish mother in the show.
Yes. It was fun to play.
Is it a hard show to get through and a hard role to do?
What makes it challenging, I think, is the progression of the relationships that have to happen, even if you've passed away during the show. But what's really nice about this show, it's not about the event of 9/11. It's about persevering through a tragic event. And I think that this is the perfect time for the show to come out based off of Orlando and things that are happening in the States, because we have more to say.
Why did you want to play this role?
Funny story. I was actually the audition pianist for the show. And I was listening to the callback material, of course, sitting at the piano on my phone, as I do when I don't play the piano in an audition. And I heard the scene and I was like, this is me. This is me. So I hadn't taken an audition in over 3 years. And I said, somebody didn't come to their appointment, and I said, John, who's the producer of the show, can I audition? So I sang something I had memorized, and then Rocco, who is our music director, said, can you do like Somewhere Over the Rainbow? And I said, sure, key of F. and I did, and that was it. And then
you weren't in the LA cast, right?
I was not, no.
Nobody was in the LA cast here. All right, so we talked to you. Let's talk about you guys right now. We'll talk to you guys. Okay, who are we talking to now? Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Georgia Sackler. I play Wendy in the show.
Tell me about Wendy.
Wendy is a spunky secretary and grad student. She's studying to be a psychologist herself.
She wears glasses, right?
Yeah, she wears glasses.
Where are they now?
They're backstage with the rest of my costume. I tend to ditch them after the show. But yeah, Wendy goes through a lot in the show. Her relationship with Jake is oftentimes troubling and difficult, because we both kind of think we know it all when really we don't.
How old were you at the time of 9/11?
I was 6. Yeah.
You were in diapers.
I was recently out of diapers. Still wetting the bed though, definitely. I remember exactly where I was. I was in.
But you do remember what happened.
I was in Miss Mansa's first grade class, and we had the television on because we tended.
Where was that? What city?
It was in Boca Raton, Florida, where I'm from. And we had the TV on because we would watch the news in the morning, and we saw what was happening. And my teacher turned the television off, and all of our parents came and picked us up. And while I didn't have anyone who was affected by the tragedy, I had kind of an interesting story. My family had just gone on our first big family excursion to New York. And we have tickets from the World Trade Center August 11th, 2001. So we were some of the last people to go up in the towers. Yeah.
What songs do you sing in this?
I sing You Put a Spell on Me, a fun love duet with my boyfriend. And I sing Set Yourself Free, another lovely duet with the very talented Carrie, played by April. And I sing all the group numbers.
You were in the subway too, weren't you?
I was in the subway. We were all packed in like sardines together.
Of course, America with lots to gain, promoted 2 times with a title as well. She brings home the bacon, it's better than swell.
Davis, you had a lot of accomplishments too.
I was a lousy accountant and a worse writer, that's why I'm here.
You're too hard on yourself.
No. Bianca and Mandy are the best things that ever happened to me. I'm bragging, I know, but when you're lucky like this, you've got to love what you've got. And remember, each kiss can fly away.
Wait a moment. Mandy is...
Our child. Great kid. I have a picture of her in my room.
Office.
I mean, office.
I never realized you had a daughter.
She's a miracle baby, conceived against
all the odds. Survives the worst day in American history. Right in the womb, no less.
She sounds adorable. She's lucky to have such a great dad.
I'm lucky too, with a daughter so bright. I love her with all my might. She's pretty as hell and smart as can be. The image of her mother. That's part of me.
Yes.
Mandy is a wonderful child.
We would love to see some pictures.
Wendy, don't we have to go soon?
No! I would love to show you. I have some pictures in my wallet. I left them in my room. I mean office. Oh, Bianca's office. I can have Bianca's assistant go and get them.
Bianca's assistant?
Yes. Bianca is in top management now. That's our little joke, actually.
Why is that a joke?
Bianca was at a breakfast meeting on the top floor, and she made it down.
Davis, you know that no one made it down from the top floor.
Yes! She was lucky. And now our daughter is 5 years old. The world is good.
But, Dave...
I'm bragging. When you're lucky, you've got to see with your heart and believe what you see can fly away in a moment like that day of the crash, alive and lost and found.
I'm here to take Davis back to his room.
Office. This is Bianca's assistant. He helps out with Mandy. We couldn't get by without him.
It was good talking with you, Davis.
Thank you.
You stay lucky.
I'm bragging. I know. But when you're lucky, you know, hey, you gotta love what you've got. And there's no more to say. It can go in a flash, like the crash of that day. Here and then gone, lost in the fray.
Jesus. I've never felt so well this day. Poor Davis. It can fly away in a moment. Life and then lost in a
So tell me about your character, and how does he live through 9/11?
Victor is actually working from home on the day of 9/11. His wife is in the towers, so he is pretty concerned about that.
And what does he do again?
He's an IT guy for a financial firm that has their offices in the Twin Towers. So I'm at home working on the internet, which they had in 2001. Yeah, that's my job. I'm pretty good at it. I'm a homebody.
Okay, and the other one you just show your quads, right?
I deliver mail and, wear short shorts.
And what songs do you sing in this?
In this, I sing a lovely duet called Hard Place, talking about my financial troubles with my wife. And then I have a little solo line in her last number, big emotional moment for the two of us. It's nice.
Were you here in New York at the time?
I was not. I was back in Iowa. I was 13 years old in Mr. Piper's personal development class. Yeah, we spent the whole day walking from class to class, watching the TV the entire day, sort of discussing what was
It's
going on.
very emotional for you to get through.
Yeah, definitely. I think that for everybody who was not only alive during that, but has ever, thought about how the world has changed since then, because certainly there's a huge difference between the way that we interact with every sort of major event in the world that happens, every national tragedy. There's a way that we process and respond to it, and I think we've all kind of had to learn to adapt to that and move through it pretty quickly. And so it's interesting to get to examine that more deeply.
It's a hard role to get through, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to spoil the show, but there is something that happens that is, takes some unpacking, some processing. So.
Tell us your names and the roles you play.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jack Utrata. I play Marty. He's a financial analyst and married to the very beautiful April Lenhard. Oh my God, I said it right. Okay, good. But Carrie in the show. We are married, and I sing "You Put a Spell on Me" a couple times, as well as some of the group numbers.
Is the old song "You Put a Spell on Me"?
Yeah, "You Put a Spell on Me." Yeah, it's not the old song. No, it's a fresh number. It's absolutely new and exciting, exotic. Yeah. So that's who Marty is. And this is my second show doing with a 9/11 subject matter. I did a show a couple years ago called Recent Tragic Events, which is actually set on September 12th. And it's about a blind date. What's cool about this show and what was exciting is, it's this therapist and these group of patients that he deals with. It's sort of like the 6 degrees of separation sort of thing. And it's not really, it's about the people more than it is about the actual event, which I think is much more powerful, than focusing on the terror and the tragedy of that day, but focusing on the people and how they dealt with it and how they are moving on,
Well, why do you lose interest in her?
Well, marriage, it's either stands the test of time or it doesn't. It's different for everybody. Everybody's human, and some people grow apart. And I think it's definitely our case. But we did love each other, and I think we still very much do.
Did 9/11 have anything to do with you breaking up?
Oh, I'd say so. Yeah. I'd say it. Yeah, definitely took a toll on us.
And how many songs do you sing? Did you say?
I sing 2, and then the group numbers. Yeah.
You mentioned them.
Yes. Yeah. You Put a Spell on Me, and then the group numbers. Yeah.
Were they hard numbers to get through?
Oh, I was in 5th grade when the event happened.
Not here in New York, right?
I wasn't. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, but from doing the other show, Recent Tragic Events, and this one, revisiting the subject matter, it's always very tender and emotional to visit the memorial, to research anything, because it's such an important time in his.
So you did do research?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us your names and the characters you play.
Sure. Hi, I'm Max Myers. I play Davis. I suppose you could say I'm a player. I'm married to a lovely woman named Bianca in the play, and I'm also having an affair with Carrie over here on my left. I'm a up-and-coming novelist, and learning how to take control of my life and my choices and the way I treat people. And I'm at a very critical point in my growth as a person when 9/11 strikes, and it halts my growth into being what I could be. And my character is sort of an example of someone who was really, their life was completely ruined by the tragedy.
So how did 9/11 affect you personally?
Me personally, I was 6 years old in 2nd grade in social studies class.
What city?
In Cincinnati, Ohio. I actually had, my grandfather was on a flight to New York that day, so that was a little scary for my family. And I have family all over the city. My aunt works down on Water Street, so she was close enough to see it and get out of the area, but she wasn't in immediate.
How does your character in the show relate to 9/11 again?
My character, I don't want to spoil too many things, but I lose someone close to me, the loss affects me a great deal.
What songs do you sing in this?
I sing a song about a great gift that my wife and I received that she kept the secret, so I'll keep the secret too. And then in the second half, I sing a song called "Lost in a Flash" about how I've been left after a loss.
How do you hold back you guys from crying or getting emotionally, teared up?
That's a great question. It sort of comes at random moments. this definitely is an emotional experience doing a piece like this. I actually felt it bubbling up in a completely unrelated song to the tragedy tonight. It's just sort of something I think that's under the surface for a lot of us. As Jack was saying, oh my God, yeah. As Jack was saying, the research, and getting into the world of this play is an emotional experience.
Singing the songs too, no?
Absolutely, of course, yeah. So it's sort of there. It's there for us.
You know what songs you sang?
Yes. Yes.
3.
It's 2, and the group numbers, yes.
My name is April Lenhart, and I play Carrie.
Tell me about Carrie.
Well, Carrie, she is married to Marty in the show, played by Jack, who's fantastic. They're not necessarily happily married. Carrie, at the start of the show, is kind of going through some depression, and she's seeing Jake, our main character. But she kind of has a lot of self-destructive tendencies through the show. She's not really happy, and she's dealing with that in some interesting ways. And it was kind of an interesting role for me to tackle because 9/11 is it was such a life-changing thing.
You were in diapers at the time, weren't you?
I'm sorry?
Were you in diapers at the time when 9/11 happened?
I was in high school. I'm
Here in New York or no?
I was in Kentucky. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was in algebra class. And we had TVs in each of the classrooms for morning announcements, and the announcements had gone on, and then they had gone off, and we started the class, and they came on again, and a plane had hit the towers, and our teacher was just kind of like, we're going to turn this off, we're going to go about our class, it's just an accident. So an hour later, we all get out of class, and the entire world had changed. So
Everybody thought it was a bad B-science fiction movie.
Well, just something tragic that wasn't as nefarious as it ended up being.
Tell me the songs you sing in this.
Well, I sing a reprise of You Put a Spell on Me with my husband. I also sing a song called Stay Behind the Plow, which is about kind of buckling down and doing what you need to do to survive and be happy. And I also sing Set Yourself Free at the end of the show. So Carrie has a really interesting arc through the show.
Hard for you to get through the show every night?
Sometimes. As far as I never have times where the emotion kind of gets out of control for me. But there are some nights I feel like I'm this close to crying and it would be so good for the scene. I'm like, come on, just go over the edge. Come on, just do it.
And what's the lesson we can learn from this? Never forget.
Never forget and just survive. However you can do that, survive and you can thrive. And
Anything you want to say before we go?
No.
Hi, we're the cast of The Pillars of New York. Come
Why
on
should
down.
they come and see this? Why?
Well, because
it's awesome.
Yes, and it's a part of our history. So come see The Pillars of New York.
And it's incredibly cathartic and something that, It is.
And the music is unbelievable. So you got to come and see this right away. Thank you. Thank you.